and welcome to the Bookover, our little book club where we chat about books, especially ones that leave us with those book hangovers. Today we're talking about Broken Bonds by Bree. It is the first book of a new series, and because it's so new, we wanted to share it in case anyone else falls in love with it too. It's a paranormal slow burn romance, which is also reverse harem. If that's not your thing, I think you could still love the story if you go into it with an open mind. So gather your thoughts, get your hair of the book ready, and let's get this book over started. Welcome to the Bookover. I'm Sarah, and this is
Megan. Hi.
All right, so before we start talking about Broken Bonds, just so everybody knows, if you have not read the story, we will be talking about spoilers and the whole entire book. So if you do not want to know anything that you don't know yet about the book, stop listening and come back to us later. Also, there are some triggers in the book. So just be aware of that and just research all that before you read it, if that is something you need to look out for. This book is a RH, which is reverse harem paranormal romance. And what did you call it, Megan?
There are some enemies to lovers themes.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
But the beauty of reverse harem is that, there's multiple men, multiple different relationships. So just because, she might not be getting along with one doesn't mean there's not our tender guy that is just completely there for her. So there's some themes with certain guys, not all of them.
Right. I love Bree so much. And I love this world that she has created. When she announced she was doing a paranormal romance, I wasn't sure because I love Mount Space so much. I was like, am I gonna love it? And then reading it, I love there's no rules. I love the whole bond thing. I love Ollie so much. And then after this past reread, I honestly, I had certain guys that I was like, oh, I like this one. I like that one more. I don't really care for him. And now rereading it, I'm like, well, I don't know. Everything's changed again. So I'm sure in the next reread, there's going to be other ones. But I am just so happy that I have stumbled upon Bree and that I feel like I'm going to I hate using this word because I hear Ash Beaumont when I say this. I am going to just gush and gush about Bree because I swear there's a quote of him saying Mountie, are you gushing for me or something, but it's not.
There have to be.
I searched it. I could not find it, but I didn't spend that much time on it. But yeah, I hear his voice, his rough voice, and he's like, you're gushing for me, Mountie. But that's how I'm but I'm gushing for Bree right now because I absolutely am just in love with this new world. And now I can't wait. And then the fact that this is going to be a 6-book series too is just.
I love knowing that up front, that we're going to have so many books.
Yeah. And they're sneaky though, because if you look online, it just says 2. If you look to see when the next one's out, it says book 1 and book 2. There's nothing about more yet.
You have to be in her group. You have to be in the know.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll go over what the book was about. And it was about, a girl, Ollie, who unfortunately experienced a terrible death of her parents, came into her powers, and there were some very bad people after her because she's very powerful and she had to run away. And then she's finally captured and brought back to her mates who are not happy. They do not understand. They think not all of them. Some of them think the worst. So she's it's kind of a forced proximity. She's forced to live there, go to college, and kind of face her mates and deal with a society that's kind of shunned her and looks down upon her and kind of have to prove herself and get through it and tamper down her powers because there's a lot at play. There's people after her. There's some mystery. There's some intrigue. There's love interests that are, pro her and on her side, ones that are a little iffy and ones that are just and they're not
understanding.
They're not ready to quite listen to her yet, but I think it's got a very satisfying ending. So
because it's paranormal and it's a reverse harem, there's no rules, and it's I think that if you're new to reverse harem, going paranormal route is a good way to go there, just because it's a different world. It's a different universe. And like with the bond system, you know, you can have more than one bond, and that is completely normal, because of how that works with their magic and stuff, right?
And it's set up like from the prologue that her parents lived like that. And it doesn't, and it's not just the girl. The central bond can be a male with females, or it can be a female with males. So it's part of that society. And I think this is a good reverse harem for people to start with, because it is a slow burn. It makes sense, and it's a paranormal world set in the real world, like kind of like below the real world. Like we know the real world exists, and this is a world like underground underneath our society, which I really like. So it's like stemmed in realism.
Right. It's kind of like a secret society, kind of like they're among us, but we don't really know that. And yeah.
Which I love. I love that in paranormal, because it feels grounded.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not like it's on some different like planet that's like completely strange or something like that. That stuff I can't really do as well, but like I just
Same.
I really enjoyed this book, and I love Oleander so much. And I even made a bunch of notes because I love I think I have a real problem because I really love secondary characters. And so when we get to that, her little friend group, I just am in love with all of them, that I hope that in the next 6 books or 5 books we have left after this one, we get more of like, even like Sawyer's story. Yeah. And
I love Sawyer.
Sage's story. We definitely need more on Sage because of everything. So.
And I heard Bree talking about how she is leaving. At first she said that Broken Bonds was going to be like it for the world, but now she like loves the world and is possibly would leave it open for a Sage story later on.
Okay.
And she kind of almost wished that she had saved Sage, but she loves their friendship. So you know, I'm listening to these lies with bated breath, like Sage story, please. Yeah, Sage and like.
Yeah, I mean, because if we get a Sage, then we're gonna get Sawyer because he's her twin. So you know, and then Felix in there too. Oh,
what a great story that is! Like a great. That's the thing. You have a great side story, and she does female friendships like no other. It's so hard to find good female friendships with a well-developed female friend in books.
Yes.
And it's natural. It's not like an it's not insta love. It's not insta friendship. It just feels natural the way it happens. Like they're just kind of made, like, you know, it's kind of meant, the friendship, the way that it's done, it's like meant to be, you know, they find each other and they need each other. And I love it.
I do. I love it. And I love that how they're both kind of, well, they're broken, you know, they both have some drama and issues that they're dealing with. And I love that they respect each other so much that like, they sense that in each other, but they're not pushing, you know, like Ollie's not pushing Sage to say exactly what happened between her and Riley, you know, she just knows that something went down and she's broken from it. And the same thing with Sage with Ollie. She knows that Ollie's dealt with something. She can tell. I mean, there's a scene where she literally says like, I know that you staying away from your bonds was for a reason. And if they can't see it, then they're dipshits, you know, and I love her for that because it's like, and it's, I don't want to be like sexist, but it's such a man thing for them to just be like, well, you affected me, you know, and it's like, but think of like what happened in her life. And she's tried to explain it to them a couple of times in this book where she's like, my parents just died, you know, and then they've even like
young.
I'm going to like, okay, we're getting into this and we're going to just get into this strong because like, you know, Griffin asked her, you know, he got into that one point where he was like, did you want to run? Do you want to be with us now? And she's like, I can't. Poor Griffin. Like, and
I think he like took time to watch and observe her. Like he was quiet and he reserved you know, I think he felt it, but he like reserved judgment until he knew.
Right. Well, and I'm curious on what Griffin's talent is, or
There's got to be like a lie detection in
right, because
there.
he's always saying, make sure you tell me the truth. There's nothing worse than liars. So I'm like, you're like a lie detector. And I'm wondering if he can just sense her. So like even the first chapter where they meet inside that interrogation room or boardroom or whatever that was, he's just sitting there silently, right? And she was upset because some of them wouldn't look at her and stuff, but he just like looked straight ahead, and what he's just probably zoned in, tuned into her, going like, what is she feeling, what is going on, you know? And I bet that was like all those times where he wasn't really looking at her, he was like listening in to her emotions to see what was going on, you know?
Yes, I think you're right, because they said something about like having a primary power, like a secondary power, and like powerful ones have like a third power.
Mhm.
And he does like comfort her during her like very bad period,
Mhm.
like by hugging her and like
I
kind of
know.
taking her pain away. So maybe he's like an empath in touch with emotions. There's got to be like the powers probably are all connected. So that would make a lot of sense to how he was acting in that scene.
Yeah.
Gosh, I would love a bonus scene of just like the guy's POV.
I need their POVs, and I don't know if we're gonna get those.
We are
Okay. I couldn't remember from that J. Bree life, but
starting in book 3, it sounds like.
okay.
Yeah,
I love those because it brings that extra bit to it that and I sometimes love it when it's like flashbacks, because then it's like, oh, so in book 1 when he was like that, it was because of this. And so
I love that as well.
And I feel like there's a lot to Griffin's story. Even like Vivian mentioned something about Griffin, and we don't know what we learned about a couple of Arbonne's powers are by the end of the book. And even Ollie's one power. But I'm sure she has more. And I really, okay, maybe we should back up to Ollie, because I have so many theories on what went down with her. Like, so at the beginning, the car crash, her parents dying, her power slips when she goes unconscious. Do you think she accidentally killed her parents with her power?
I'm wondering, she's so guilty. She has so much guilt. I do wonder if that's what happened. I mean, I know that they were after her. The resistance was after her. So even if she did, I don't think, it wasn't her fault. But I think that might have been something that happened when she's new to her power and couldn't control it. I think that J. Bree might be alluding to that. That's definitely up there.
Right. The first time around reading this book, I didn't really think much about it besides how sad and her power, left. I didn't really, nothing, I just moved on from it. But the second time I was reading it, just a couple of times when she just felt so guilty and calling herself a murderer, that I was like, bad people you can murder and you'll feel okay about it.
Yeah. And she does.
But yeah, but then with, I'm like, but your whole family, died, and I know that happened, and you just lost everybody. And then we gathered that, how like the resistance, she's trying not to use her power, right? She's keeping that tight knit inside her, which, think of that struggle. That's got to be such a struggle to all day, and even fighting her bond so much. Who's like reaching out to these guys and being like, I need that affection, I need that connection, but she's just fighting it. I can't imagine, because like just think of like when you're fighting your own emotions and stuff that's going on in like a normal life. Like I just feel like that's probably like 100 times worse for her. And then like, but she was saying like she's keeping it so tight because she lets it slip, then the resistance will find her. So,
and it's all to protect, it's to protect her bonds and everybody, because if she bonds to them, she's going to get more powerful. And if the resistance finds her, who knows what they'll force upon them.
With Ollie, though, I'm really impressed with how strong she is. And I really feel for her, though, with just how much the vocal guys have been towards her, calling her selfish or a brat, or just like how North was treating her. And I get it, we need that in a good story, right? Like we can't have her show up and then be like, oh, I'm so happy you're back, and just love all of a sudden. Like then we aren't going to get 6 books out of that. We're not going to get a good story out of it. We're not going to get a book hangover from that. We're,
deeper, more meaningful relationship.
Like and that's, I think, one of the reasons I love this book is there's so much weaved into it. There's so much detail in it that there's just been so many books lately I've read that just feel more summary. And this one is not a summary. And, you know, it's like, there's time Bree took her time and she made this thing. And it's like, baffles me how she did all this. But like, just even Ollie's personality and all of her things that she's dealing with. And then like, but there's even stuff in it. Like, what I love about her is she doesn't realize like how like attractive she is, right? Because there was a couple of times like at the pool party where Gabe had to like jump in the pool when he saw her like in her bikini, and she's like, what, you know, like she thinks that she's not pretty and she doesn't have a nice body, and like obviously she does, you know. So it's like the poor girl has been on the run and been out, you know, an outsider and alone for so long.
Home, like she's been homeless, she's been put through the ringer. I mean, can you imagine growing up at 14 like on the streets? Yeah, her confidence is gonna be pretty low considering everything she's been through. But I love that she has a character who isn't, you know, stick thin and described with a perfect body, who has these issues, because a lot of us feel that way. I mean, I think we can all relate to that like internal dialogue of, even if we feel pretty, we can doubt ourselves, and I think that's so relatable in a character. I just think that she's such a really likable female main character. And honestly, I have trouble with certain female main characters. You really have to balance a female main character. I think, especially a strong one, which is sad, but like I think she does it perfectly. She's caring, she cares about everyone, but she also doesn't put up with shit.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Right. And she's not arrogant about it too. You know, sometimes there's that lead that's just so like, well, I'm mean, I'm awesome, and then you know, and that kind of sometimes bothers me, because then they end up doing stupid stuff because they're not willing to like listen to others or realize that their actions have consequences. So like, and that's, you know, Ollie, she knows her actions have consequences, and she's so strong just because of her restraint. I mean, just like even those bond dinners and having to put up with those people that Knox has brought there, you know, and putting up with North, and like Gabe flirting with girls. And I get it. I understand. I'm a jealous person, and it took me probably like 20 so years of my life to realize that. And so when I get jealous of like, you know, my husband or friends or whatever, I could get jealous over a lot of stuff. I've realized that that's just like an irrational feeling that I'm having, you know, and it's just part of my personality. But like, it took me a long time to like, you know, learn to recognize it and learn to just be like, Sarah, don't act on that. You know, you are fine. And you know, so it's like, I get that, like, you know, the guys are upset and so they're trying to punish her. But part of me is like, I don't know, maybe I'm just being too female about this. I'm like, gosh, if my bond showed up, or I finally got my bond, wouldn't I want them to, I don't know, because part of me is like, yeah, I'd probably want a little bit of revenge on them to punish them for running away from me. But then part of me is like, but if I'm bonded to them and I have those deep, deep feelings that I can't control for this person, wouldn't I be like really kind of like Atlas? Wouldn't I be really trying to like get to know them and connect with them? Because now I finally can, after 5 years of waiting for you to show up, I can finally connect with you. That's why I'm kind of baffled with Gabe. So my first
I was gonna say, I get it. I think it was the Gabe that said when they finally have a like a peace between them and a friendship, was that they both have a story. Like, she told her story about her parents, Gabe told his story. I think, and I don't think we've heard all of their stories. We've heard that they got like a lot of flack in the community. And I think the difference with Atlas is he's not in their community. He's on the East Coast community. So maybe he was treated differently. But it sounds like not only did they have to deal with a lot, and it sounds like, and I think the Draven brothers have a darkness in them, like Oleander, Oleander. So I think that they like are struggling themselves, but I think we're all gonna, like, a story is going to be revealed. And Abe said that North had said that they like found her living somewhere, like that she was like, they thought that she was living a good life, like no there was no sign of the resistance. So I think they had this image in their mind that she just like left them and chose to, and they're so blinded by their hurt and their pain and whatever their stories are that they can't see past it yet. Like North was so quick to just assume the worst of her. But there would be these glimpses where you can tell he doesn't want her to leave. He is controlling. I think deep down North wants her, but he's so scared deep down to get hurt again. But they keep saying like North's never going to let you go. And I don't think it's the political thing. I think that he really has feelings for her and he just doesn't know how to deal with them. I mean, knowing that you have a bond, you know, and I know that they've been with other girls, but I think that like, you know, she's been so present in their mind that it just, I think it really hurt them.
Yes.
So I don't know. I'm going to say right now, North is my favorite. I like a controlling guy. I like there's these little things that he does. Yes, sometimes we have to take a step back with him. Like he'll do like 1 step forward, 2 steps back, but I see it. He's going to be my Ash Beaumont. Like, he is. He's going to be the Ash. He's my.
You say that and it's like, but see, I get so why choose because like,
yeah,
you know, you're Ash, but like when I read that book, I'm like, well, but I love Blaze. And then, you know, and then I'm like, Harley, like I cannot choose. It's whoever's in that chapter, basically, whoever's in the freaking chapter.
I always have like one that's a little extra above, and then the rest.
They shift. It's like Avery, you know, like right now you're in this position, and then, you know, like it's just all those. But I really do think you're onto something with the Draven brothers. I think I think you're right with North. I think that he treats her the certain way he does because he's protecting himself from getting hurt by her. I wish he would listen a little bit more to her. I mean, obviously, like when she has to go to the drugstore because she's like, I think I started my period, I need to go. I wish she would have said that though, be like, dude, I'm bleeding all over this dress, take me to a freaking drugstore. But she just put up to it because she's punishing herself. And he's
miscommunications everywhere.
Exactly. But I can see that with North, like how he's doing these things because he wants, you know, like forcing her to go to school and those things. He's doing it to take care of her in his own way, you know. And I do see that, yeah, he does not want to lose her, and his bond feeling for her is there. So that brings me to like Knox, right? Everybody hates Knox. Well, not everybody. We know some people who love Knox. He right now is not my favorite. But I think he's going to turn into my favorite because I like the damaged, and I think he has some real damage going on. And I think that's both Draven brothers. I think something happened in their lives, like maybe mom disappeared or somebody important in their lives left them. And I think that got triggered when Ollie ran. And so
scary. And I think maybe with their powers, and I think they want to bond so much so they can control their powers better, or maybe to protect everybody better.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and it's interesting because we know now that they have like the black eyes, same as Ollie. So they both have like a darker power, right? Yeah. So I mean, maybe, yeah, and maybe you know, with Ollie in her incident with her parents, maybe they had a similar incident.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm reaching here, but I don't
think that's a reach. I feel that. I was thinking something very similar.
Yeah. And I just think like, you know, I know a lot of people were bashing on Knox, but I really think that he's just so incredibly damaged from his past that he just now with Ollie is like taking it all out on her. He doesn't know how to forgive. He doesn't know how to, he's probably never been in a position to be able to forgive somebody. And so I think we're going to really learn more about him. And I think he's going to be so broken that we're going to fall in love with him because we're going to learn his story and we're going to be able to forgive him for all that he's done, even though I think it's going to be we have a long time coming for him. I mean, just even the girls he's brought to dinner and how he's let people talk to him. And same thing with North, like that cancel dinner with the chick. And when she realized that the other lady there like slept with North, like, come on. Like, I don't know. It's just like, again, it's the jealousy thing. Like, why would you men, stop being hoes. Like, it's just stop. Like, I'm like, I just don't understand. I'm like,
I think they did it. I think it was all pre her coming back. I think when
Yeah.
you're hurt, you lash out, especially and I'm wondering how old they are. I'm wondering how old the Draven brothers are, because I know that I think they're the oldest.
yes.
But I'm thinking they probably, they found her and they were happy, the bond, and then before they even got to meet her, she disappeared. And I think whatever happened, it was triggered in trying to find like affirmation and especially with how that community seems to turn on people. I mean, look at how they turned on Sage. I think that that's how they like needed to find acceptance, especially for like strong alpha males. And I know personally, I get dumped. What do? I go on Tinder. I
Right.
go on Tinder and I start dating people, and that's especially when I was young. So I think that's what you do when you're young and you're hurt and you want to feel.
Right.
So I can relate with them a little bit when maybe they're in the wrong,
Yes.
like now,
But
maybe
in the
back
past.
then.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I can see that. Yeah.
I know. I always I always see the different perspectives.
Well, and that's great. And it takes me a while. That's why I love my rereads on the books I really like, because then I start catching those things. And because so the first time I read the book, I really liked Gabe. And
Yeah.
Gabe was like one of my top guys. But this second reread, I don't know what happened the first time around, because now I'm like, Gabe, what the hell? Like,
Really?
yeah, because he
Yes.
flirted, he was so mad at her all the time, and then he would like flirt in front of her, and then like he wouldn't help her through the obstacle courses, and he just did so many things before they became friends that I was just like, dude, I get that you're hurt, but like you're finally with her. So why don't you like try to talk to her? Like, you can try to like figure out what's going on. I don't know,
Yeah.
so it took me, so Gabe my first reread, or my first
Uh-huh.
read, he was my
Okay.
guy. And Atlas was, I loved Atlas. I love their text messages to each other. I love how much he cared for her without even seeing her, I loved all that. He does make me a little nervous because he's just too good.
I think we're all a little scared that something's going to happen with Atlas. And that's where so with Atlas, there were certain things. I feel like she said, how does Atlas always know when I need him? She said something along those lines. And I'm wondering, is somebody feeding her information? Does he have spies around? Is he maybe closer with one of the guys? Maybe like I'm like, could it be Griffin? Could it be somebody else? I feel like again, I was looking for Easter eggs, because Jay Bree said that there are things that she put in there that people have not caught.
Right. Well, and so also, like, if you remember, isn't this like an MMF? Didn't she say?
I haven't heard that. I don't know. Is it like there?
I thought there was something about that, and so like the whole time I was rereading it, I was trying to figure out who's the two guys that are like part of this thing.
See, I didn't hear that, so I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not sure either, so maybe I'm wrong. But like, but with Atlas too, like we kind of get an idea of his power, like the whole like, I don't even know what he does. Like, to me, it seems like he can, the earthquakey type boom thing. And like at the school, he said something about like how he can't control his power. Like it's.
Oh, that he couldn't turn it off. It was part of him.
Yes. Which I'm like, what does that mean? And like, what is that? But I'm wondering if part of his power is, I don't know. It's just weird that he can censor, but I'm also wondering if that's just part of like the bond.
And that very much could be, because they say that, they feel it at first, and then once they connect, it's like even stronger. But like there was the scene where like he rolled out of bed and she said that he seemed like well trained. So I don't know if that's just something in their society that happens, or if there's more to that.
Yeah, I bet he's trained. I bet he's like TT trained. Yeah.
I really want to know about this. There's the whole Pennsylvania. He's got connections. That guard recognized the last name. So I feel like there's definitely more to Atlas that we're going to discover.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I am as well. There was a quote I wanted to get, and there's a great quote about, oh my goodness, it was about what we were talking about with Gabe, or it was about like all the guys, how she felt like Gabe, it was kind of at the end, and it was like her assessment of all the guys and how they kind of felt about her, and how like the Dravin brothers kind of kept themselves away. Griffin, she melts for him. Like there's some kind, like she can't with, and I think that has to do with his, like, I think he's got this empathic kind of thing, and that's why. But there was something about Gabe, how Gabe wants her. That's the thing. Gabe wants her, but he can't get past whatever happened. And again, he did lose, what was it? He lost his father, and then and then he said his mother never came home. Like, she came home, but she wasn't like there anymore. So he has trauma as well.
I think they all have trauma. I think
too,
because even Griffin, who is Griffin our last one to talk about Bond Boys? I think he is, right? But yeah, I think they all have some kind of trauma. I mean, Gabe, obviously he lost parents, or his dad, and then his mom, and then, you know, poor Gabe though. I mean, he had that friend on the football team that got snatched up. Then he had his cousin, right? Like, he's just, everybody around him is getting snatched up, and it's like the poor guy, you know, like, yeah.
I really, you know what? I think I liked Gabe. See, opposite. I liked Gabe more this reread, I think, than initially. Because I just saw things I didn't see before. Like, he just wants her so much, and I wonder if some of that's his like shifter animal instincts too that are messing with him as well.
Right.
But I feel like he just wants her so much, and he just doesn't know how to have her. And I think it's like a big miscommunication whenever he extends an olive branch, like, or it gets a little bit turned away, it like turns him off. So I think he's struggling because he's around her the most.
True.
He's forced into it more than anybody else. He doesn't have time and space. He's just forced into her life. And I think, and he's younger too. I mean, I feel like he's probably the youngest is my guess. Yeah. And you know, young guys, like a 18-year-old, 19-year-old guy, they do not know how to process their emotions well.
No.
At all.
No, but you know, the thing is that he's the, you know, he has the animal instinct in him. He has the bond in him, but there was just a couple of scenes where he just didn't defend her, and I think that's what really made me upset. You know, like when, what was her name, the other one part of the Sage Riley, Dominique, or whatever her name is.
What's her,
when she was like, right? But when she was, you know, attacking Ollie there at the party, like, you know, like verbally, like being mean to her, and Gabe standing right there not doing a thing, and it's his bond, but he has no problem with that other guy who like said something to Ollie to like attack him. So it's like, does he have something against, you know, doing anything to women? But it's like, I'm not asking you to slap or anything. I'm asking you to be like, hey, that's uncalled for, like Griffin did. Like, that's why I love Griffin, because he jumped in and he was like, go away, you know, and that's all you needed to do with her. She was being a bitch. She needed to go, like, you know. And like, what I like about Griffin is him and Atlas are the only ones that asked Ollie if, or said something alluding to the fact that they kind of figured that she had a reason to run. There was a reason why she wasn't there. And, you know, and then there's him spending the night with her, just coming over and like laying in bed with her, helping her with the cramps. That just, I don't know what about that I was just like, I just love that. And I feel like that's part of like, you know, he wants to be with her, he wants to comfort her, and that's how he's going to show it, is just through his like small little actions. And I love that. I love that so much about him, and I
do too.
So
he gave her the credit card, like he really cares. He's like, you know, he saw the state of her room, like, while still being respectful to his friends. He's like, no, like you deserve better.
Yeah.
Which I love about him as
Yeah.
well.
Get yourself a new mattress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's the thing too, is like the guys aren't asking questions. They're not asking about like what North is providing to her. They're thinking she's all set up when she's not. She's set up enough to survive, but she's not comfortable, And I think they don't realize that.
Did North I can't remember if North had even gone into her room, because they did say that the council provided the room, because I remember with how she was treated at the beginning, like she told him like, oh, they didn't feed me. And he's like, my people would never do that. Like he didn't believe her. I mean, and I guess why is he going to, they have this impression of her, and who knows, like in my mind, maybe somebody was feeding them information about her that's false. Maybe there are resistance like planted within I'm sure there are like sleeper agents. Oh my gosh, I just had like a mind explosion. What if like one of her friends turns out to be like a resistance sleeper agent? Can you imagine?
Well, yeah, I almost wonder about Gracie and how, because I'm like, there's something up with her that I don't fully trust. And the fact that she started like, she got Ollie caught. Like she did that on purpose. Like I'm like
Sage. She said, "Oh, Sage's, yeah."
I bet and I didn't catch that the first read. It was the second read when I read that I was like, that's just weird, because why would she even know where Sage was? They don't hang out. Sage is avoiding her. So I think that she purposely did that to find Ollie, to try to get Ollie gone. Now I don't know if she's part of the resistance, but I do think that she did it on purpose to try to get her to go.
Oh, so that's a really great point. Like I knew she was untrustworthy, but that's something like next level to watch out for.
Yeah,
definitely. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, I was trying to say with North, like he didn't like with the feeding. I don't think that I think he's trusting the wrong people. And I don't know if he necessarily knows just how bad things are. I mean, he tries to do the right things. When Knox was grading the paper wrong, he, stepped in and was like, I'll grade the paper. Like I highlighted all the little things that he did to show that like I really think he wants to try. I really do. And I think that dinner affected him more than like, I think one of the reasons he didn't stop was because I think that dinner affected him so much. Like just, I think having that illusion of they're in a good place, I think that affected him more than like we're getting to like see, like like kind of like living that ideal, like they're in a good place. She's like, was like participating, and then all of a sudden her mood shifted when the girl was like showing her cards. The girl, like, was it a council, I think she was a fellow council member, or she was a wife. No, she wasn't a wife, she was a fellow council member. And then he felt the shift. So I think that's like his defense mechanism falling into place. I kept see this book, I was like really looking for it, for these like the little moments. Again, because I'm kind of obsessed with North, and I'm just getting it on the ground floor.
Well, and I'm wondering if her not getting food, like she's probably supposed to, right? She's probably supposed to be well taken care of. I'm wondering, because the girls there know who her bonds are. So if one of them is upset that she's back, I could see that one's supposed to be in charge of taking care of her or feeding her, and going, no, I'm not going to do that. Here's some crackers. You know what I mean? So I can see different levels of it, but like the simplest, I bet like one of those girls were just complete bitches and was like, you can starve. I don't like you. I don't like you that you're back, and I don't like what you did to him or whatever, so I think
gossip that go around.
But he does blame her for a lot and doesn't listen to her, and like that's, I think, the most frustrating thing to me is just like the not, her saying the truth, and he's just calling her a brat, like, you're not listening, you're just making it all up, and it's like, I wish he was there for like even like the GPS plan, when they did that part in her neck, because it's like, then you would see how rough they were with her, how they didn't care, it's like, because
he's choosing to believe the best in the wrong people.
Exactly. And I know that there's some council members that they aren't agreeing with, and there's
they want to like force the bond, that are being very harsh.
Yes.
And she said that he's like a good council member and he has like these great, like, you know, like beliefs to help everybody. So I think there's got to be a lot of council members that are like just against him and that are probably using this against him.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think maybe like that could even be a plot for them to want her to not like him. And who knows what they're planting in his head. I can't wait to get more to see like where they're all coming from, because and again, like the deeper they dig themselves, like the deeper North digs themselves, the deeper Knox digs himself, the sweeter the redemption, the sweeter the groveling and the making it up, like the sweeter that story is going to be. It's always those characters, like I'm going to compare it to Ash. It's like that took the longest to come around.
Yeah.
Like it brings it full circle. And it's just like such a rich story. So I love it. So I'm like, keep digging yourselves because it's going to be so sweet coming out. And then meanwhile, we have Atlas and Griffin to like fill that like sweetness void.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think we're gonna get some sweet Gabe in there too. Yeah.
Get what? When
we're gonna get some sweet Gabe in there, especially after him like, you know, getting caught just to go rescue her at the camp. I think
and her protecting him, that I think that's gonna change everything. The fact that she stepped in front of Knox for him, like just solidified. And she even said like, she put him in the same category as Sage. Like now Gabe is like on her list.
Yeah.
She said like Griffin has potential, but she said that Gabe is like, she couldn't. I'm so excited for
I'm really excited too. Yeah.
I feel like each book is gonna, you know, every relationship is gonna, that's what I love about Reverse Harem. Every relationship has a different what's the word, like flow, like not flow,
well, each one has a different thing that they give. And it's each one's, every guy's different, and so you're getting, you know,
6 month stories, 5 month stories.
You're getting fully everything that you need. Each guy's going to bring you something different. They're all, personalities are different, and I'm really excited. I'm curious to see like what's going to happen next, like in the next book. I'm wondering how long it's going to take. I'm wondering when Knox is going to start groveling, when he's going to come around and realize. I think it's going to take a while. I think he's going to be now mad at her because she didn't share that she did have a gift. Even though, you know, why would she share with you when you're being an ass to her? So
they barely talk, when they do, it's a negative.
Right. So but I'm wondering, you know, what book is it when he's gonna pull the Ash Beaumont and realize that, you know, he needs to grovel and that she is worth whatever and he needs to straighten up. Like, so I know I'm going to switch to Team Knox at some point. I'm just curious on what book it's going to be. Before we end our talk about this one,
we could go on forever.
We could go on for hours. For Sage and Sawyer and Felix. With Sage, I'm interested to know her whole story, because I know that with the three of them, Riley bonded with the other one, with the other girl. I'm curious if like she tried to bond with him and it didn't work, or she wasn't willing to bond with him yet. Some, you know, like it's not really said. Like I'm like, what? And she says that she's broken or she's not wanted. And so I'm like very curious on like what's going there too.
Why doesn't he want both his bonds? And why isn't he getting more shunned like she was? Is it because she left? Like, I'm very
I don't think
curious.
she left. I don't think she would have left. I think she would have put up with that other girl if he would have, because it sounded like they grew up together and he's promised her so much. And then all of a sudden, I'm wondering if the other girl doesn't have some weird magical thing and is like manipulating him.
Like a mind. That makes
because
so
she's
much
getting
sense.
everything. She's getting engaged. She's getting him to move into the house. Like I have a feeling that she's somehow controlling him, and that's leaving her gone. You know, because what if they try to bond, but like he didn't, you know? And so because you have to orgasm, right, to bond. So maybe she did something, so he didn't.
And they said that her power was telekinesis.
Mm-hmm.
So that could, well, maybe she's hiding more. And if she's
Mm-hmm.
coming from a powerful family.
Exactly. So
So
I
maybe
don't trust her.
that would make so much sense. But then you have this other guy who's just so great, and she's so scared that he's gonna find, their childhood kind of like sweethearts almost.
Mm-hmm.
She's scared he's gonna find her central bond. I'm wondering, here's my question about this world. Is it, I mean, obviously Sawyer's gay.
Mm-hmm.
So could that mean there could be like more of like a poly relationship where there are multiple girls and multiple guys? And maybe like, I mean, obviously they had to have been tested, but like maybe there's going to be some kind of storyline where they're all supposed to be bonded. I don't know. Or maybe it's not. Like there were little things about the blood test and the history, and I'm wondering like maybe things aren't 100% um like told to us, because there was a line about like what they feed the public in the book. Like there's like what actually happens, and like and what the line that they tell everybody else. So I'm wondering if there's more to bonds than we know.
Right.
So I have a couple theories, like maybe Sage will be with this with the what's his name? I can't remember. Oh my goodness.
Riley. Oh,
Right.
Felix.
Felix.
Well, and I also wondering how, okay, I'm getting all like, conspiracy theory here, but they say they do these blood tests, but
so it's
I'm wondering how much of the blood tests are always true.
Exactly. That's
like
what
if someone's changing things up, because, and then I also wonder if there's like a way to, I don't know, because I feel like Felix is great for Sage. So I'm wondering if like, and what would happen if Sage ends up with Felix? Then will Riley all of a sudden get jealous and realize that he screwed up?
Which is like the whole, the rejected mates kind of plot line. You have the books where I haven't read a lot of rejected mates, but I've kind of done my research on them. And then you've got the ones where, they're rejected and then they end up with somebody who isn't their mate. And they have the ones where they're rejected and they do end up with the mate who rejected them. So yeah, I'm very curious. I mean, that's like such an interesting story. Like, what would happen if she did end up with him? What if he found his bond but still wanted to be with her? And like that person was accepting of it, because it is a community that has multiple. So I just feel like he wouldn't do that to her. Like even if he found his bonded, I feel like he would.
I don't think he's gonna abandon her like Riley did.
I don't think so. And they feel such a strong connection for each other. There has to be more.
What if they are actually bonded? Like, what if they are bonds and they just don't know, like something they didn't, because not everyone gets the blood test done, right? It's just like it happened to Ollie because she ended up in the hospital and that's how they found all of her bonds. So I'm like, maybe not everybody gets it, and that they don't know that he actually is. Feels so much for her and feels so connected to her and is watching her a lot, that I'm wondering if they're not actually, what if Sage is actually the central bond. And the other chick is not even supposed to be a bond, like
what if she used her telekinesis for the whole thing and switched it up? Yeah. And so he thinks that they're in this bond.
They are.
So much. This is a great theory.
I'm hoping, and I hope she doesn't change it if it is true. But and you know what I really want to see? I really want to see Ollie like give her worst nightmares. Like I really want to see her get it. No matter what, I want her to get what she deserves. But like if she's controlling him and faking the whole thing, and that Sage is actually the central for Riley and Felix, then like I really want to see her suffer.
I do too. That's somebody who deserves to be in her nightmares for sure. I think that's such a great theory. I really do. I'm on board with this. And then I want to see Sawyer's storyline. Like I said, I'm very curious if to see like maybe there again, like I would maybe even in future books, like same-sex bonds that have multiple like genders. Maybe there's 2 females, 2 males. I'd be very interested to see that explored. Which is why I thought maybe Sage. It was like Sage and the evil girl and the guys, but I think you're right. I think the evil girl isn't part of it. I think that
I
would be
don't want her a part of it. I want her
I don't either.
gone. And I think
yeah,
yeah,
I agree. And I definitely need Sawyer's. I love Sawyer so much.
I do
I
too.
love it. It took him a minute. It took him a minute to like
Yes.
warm up to Ollie, but when he did, they were like this.
And I
love
can't
that-
blame him.
Yeah, because there's so much said. Ooh, that brings me to something. That brings me to something I remembered. Okay, there is a scene with Gabe when they go to visit Sawyer for football, and Ollie finds Gabe.
Yes.
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 What is that? We never find out what Gabe is doing. Never
Okay,
find
so
out. Is it a drug deal? Like what's
no,
Gabe doing?
it's
There's
not
something
drugs.
going on.
Because remember, I think I highlighted it, but I'm not going to look at my notes because I need to get this out.
I
So
can't find
for
it.
anyone who's listening and doesn't know what we're talking about, Ollie goes to the football game with Sage to support Sage, and she really wants to see her brother Sawyer play in the game.
Yeah.
She's down, in the tunnels waiting for Sage to finish talking with Sawyer, and she sees Gabe with somebody from the opposite team, and they're doing something shady. You can tell, like their body language, they're doing something shady. And she's like, is it drugs? What are they doing? And then he passes the other guy a piece of paper. So
yeah.
And she's like, I'm not gonna, and they look at each other, and he's like, are you gonna tattle? And she's like, I could ruin his life, but that's not who I am, and I'm not gonna do that to him. I'm curious. I did note that, and that's like something on your first read, you read it and you go, huh, and then you keep on going. It's just like with Hannaford, there's a couple of things still that I've read that I'm like, who's so-and-so texting in this point, and just stuff like that. But
that'll come later, which did
a
brilliant job at setting these things up. Come back later.
I'm wondering, I don't know. I'm curious because part of me is wondering if like Gabe, he's trying to find the resistance. He's trying to get these people back. Like he wanted to get the girlfriend back for the football player guy that died. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if he's not working like behind the scenes, trying to like get a lead on the resistance and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Or if there's just something else going on that we just don't know yet.
That could be part of his whole past and his damage.
Yeah.
But I like the theory that it's something to do with the resistance, and that maybe he's trying to work around, because he still is in college. He's in the TT program, but he's not quite there yet. He's not on a tactical team, and it does mean a lot to him. So maybe there is more to it.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's something we wouldn't even suspect yet.
Yeah, it could be a whole different storyline that we just have no clue. I mean, that's Jay Bree for us. So I don't know. I think the next book we're gonna get so much more of this story, and we're gonna get. It's gonna be insane, because this is just the beginning. And it was, if anyone, like, I seriously hope that everybody reads it, even if you don't like RHs, like, or paranormals. Like, I just feel like it's just the characters are great. It's well written. The weaving of all the different stories in there. And it's not even like, at the end of the book, you're not even disappointed. Like, the cliffhanger isn't horrible. And you just know there's more to come. And so it's not, like someone just got shot. Did they survive? It's, it's just, there's more story to have. And it's
like, it's her powers out. The resistance, they're coming after them. It's just, it's like, what happens next? Yeah. And that was very satisfying to finally have that revealed. I love that, like, we didn't have to wait. Like, that was very much this story's book, that there were little moments where she let things out with Griffin or with Gabe, that she was real with her secrets. And then at the very end, it's like, to save them, she lets like her biggest secret out. So I just found that very satisfying, that like, it's just book one. Yeah. And there's so much more though. There's so much more.
So I'm really excited for the end of September, because we all get to read the next one. So like for me, the hair of the book for this one is a really hard one, because it's kind of put me in a slump. I don't really know what I want to read after it. I don't know if I want to go on to like a sweet romance to bring myself back up. It just doesn't feel right. Another paranormal right now I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
think I could do like a Zodiac Academy right now. So I really don't have a hair of the book right now. It's really put me in a slump. So my book over is nowhere near being done with. Do you have
I
one, Megan?
I've been thinking about doing a Burberry prep reread because I'm like really holding out hope that
Oh,
orientation. I feel like there's been hints that maybe orientation might
be
be
soon.
dropping. There was like something that's anticipated that hasn't been announced. And I'm
Yeah,
like hoping it's
that's,
orientation.
I've been waiting for that one. So for a while. So, ooh, that would be a really good reread. So maybe that is a good book slump fix. We could chat about broken bonds for hours, but real life calls. Hope you enjoyed our chat. If you are anticipating the second book, Savage Bonds, it will be releasing at the end of September. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned and see you next time.